Welcome to the V2V podcast with Shorts and Aurelius, episode 31. It's a trap!
Yeah, I guess so. I'm happy to explain.
I guess we should.
It's a trap.
It's a trap. Okay, so I have a problem.
Yeah.
I have a really big problem with what happened to Admiral Ackbar.
We have no choice, General Calrissian. Our cruisers can't repel firepower of that magnitude.
Yeah.
Well, he died.
Hold on a second, Marcus. 1 second.
It's a trap.
Okay, I'm back. Well, it's how he died.
Well, the fact that he did die. Okay, so he's a trout, or I don't know what.
He had one eye, and he would sort of like look not at you when he would talk to you. So it's like really tough to sort of like kind of get a feel for who, what he was trying to say. But he would always go, "Yeah, I got the fire, I got the bomb, I got the fire, it's a flame, yeah."
It's a trap.
Yeah, they never explained, like Luke never went to visit the planet that Admiral Ackbar is from. It does look kind of Ackbar. He looks like he came from the sea. Like his planet must have a lot of water.
Definitely. I mean, I think the guy. Well, he's like a. I'm just gonna go with like some kind of trout.
This video comes with heavy hearts and may leave some of you filled with tears. Our beloved Ackbar, the second most infamous line in the Star Wars universe,
It's a trap.
died early in The Last Jedi and without any proper screen time or a proper funeral for that matter, like he got in Legends.
Yeah.
But okay, so the effort and skill and intelligence it would take for a fish to rise up in the military and become an admiral is really incredible. And he knew that it was a trap. He knew
Yes.
that the Death Star was operational too. The Death Star is operational. And he said that, and then he said, "It's a trap." So he saved the rebellion. He through his leadership and guidance.
Yeah.
He
And
made sure
intuition
that
and yeah.
his fishy intuition. So in The Last Jedi, he was unceremoniously like killed in that giant explosion where Leia magically used the Force to get back into the ship.
Sorry,
but-
I just realized what's going on here. What happened with this phone call? Okay, cool. It's totally a trap. Anyway, yeah, keep
Right,
going. Yeah.
it's a trap. That's the whole thing. That's the whole premise of this phone call. That it's a trap.
More content. V2V.
So anyway, I was really disappointed with how they treated Admiral Ackbar in the
me too.
series, and it really just was extremely disappointing because
Yeah.
he had a lot more to offer, and
Your backstory,
they just killed him.
Yeah. Just want to know more about this guy, and he's dead. He's a dead bunch of gills out in space.
They did that with a lot of people. Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Like, what? He just
Yeah.
got thrown into the Sarlacc pit. It was just like,
Yeah, right?
what?
I mean, he was kind of
Just
cool.
bad. All these characters, like, killed off, like, for no good reason.
No backstory.
But, that kind of leads me to the idea of what the imagery for for this little episode might be the visuals, and it's probably going to be Admiral Ackbar saying it's a trap over and over again. It's probably going to be that. So we were talking about the notorious Article 13 last night.
Yeah.
Right. So basically what it is, there's two main components, and this has been had been being worked on for a number of years in the EU parliaments. And what they're trying to do is strengthen their own copyright laws, which are a little bit different than the U.S. copyright laws. They're a little stricter. Like, parody has to be literally making fun of the thing, like directly, like making fun of the language and changing it, and kind of like what we did with Jamon.
Yeah.
Like, that's a parody. Because they're taking the thing and changing it into something that's silly. And it's obviously a direct parody of Michael Jackson and what he went through. Yeah. It's like, what? That's true to life. That's not a parody. So, in the U.S., parody laws can be things as simple as, what's allowed can be as simple as something like a meme, where you're taking one thing and adding it to another thing and calling it your own. So that's part of it, and the other part is they want to come down on news aggregation. Which means that a site like Facebook or Google, their like news service, can't collect a bunch of news stories and then present them as their own on their own site. So they want to eliminate that ability too, and only allow the news organizations themselves to produce the news, which I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, because
I think it's
what
great.
it does is it eliminates a third-party source. So if something's being shown, you can be more assured that it's coming from the primary source and not through secondary parties. Like, so stuff like that. But that's Article 11 anyway. It's a big act, and Article 13 involves fair use, which is much more strict in the EU, and there's a bunch of people behind it, like a lot of artists, musicians, Paul McCartney, whatever. Just silly. So their take is that people who create original work are not getting proper credit and compensation in a lot of cases, because other people can just take it and re-upload it and use it as their own own stuff. Things like movie clips, music reviews that actually use the music,
or concert footage,
concert footage, memes, where no more Pepe, I guess, because like that's owned by somebody who drew it, and believe me, if the guy who drew Pepe got paid for all of the times it was used, he would be really wealthy. So there's a lot of people who were upset about it, and the people who seem to be upset about this idea that would block this kind of content from being shown in Europe are big YouTube people who do a lot of list shows, who show a lot of other people's footage and comment on it and that kind of stuff. And the worry is that if that law changes over there, then YouTube and Google and Facebook will comply with those stricter rules over here, therefore kind of eliminating all of that. And like gaming too, right? They don't want you to be able to show like gaming footage because it's proprietary. It's owned by the people who created the game. So,
Right.
There's a lot of people up in arms saying it's going to ruin the internet, and I just don't buy it. I just don't. Like, how can you be so upset because your cash cow is going to be eliminated when you never really created anything to begin with? You know?
Right. And you've made a fortune off of it. You know, you've made a fortune off of it so far. You know, in comparison to... You know.
Yeah. So I'm not... I'm all about, like, personal freedom and ability to kind of do what you want. But then if I think about it for a minute, and I guess anyone would feel kind of the same way, if I made something and it became popular and people started just kind of stealing my content and repurposing it and making new stuff based on that, I don't think I would like it. You can't. It's not like you can.
I mean, it's kind of like if I made something and put it out there, and it got like 75,000 views, but then someone else takes it and uploads it on their channel, and it gets 4 million views. It's kind of a bit of a slap in the face.
Well, right, and YouTube has their copyright stuff, so that, for instance, if it was just straight up like stealing, for instance, or the content, like for instance, when Sean Connery did "I Got Five" on it.
Yeah,
like that music is identified, and
yeah,
if that video ever became like really popular, the rights holders to that music would get compensated, not us.
Yeah,
and that's fair. That's fair. There's nothing wrong with it, because
of course
it's not. We didn't create the music.
I didn't write those lyrics. Yeah. I didn't write those lyrics.
It's satirical. Right, you didn't write the lyrics, we didn't make the music, but it is satirical, so therefore we had the right to do it, like it's allowed to be there. But part of what we did, and a large part of what we created, isn't ours. So this new law would eliminate that entirely. Like, we wouldn't be able to do that. And I don't feel bad about that. I don't feel bad about that at all. Like, it just would be another limitation on what anyone could produce, and what it would lead to would be more like the requirement to produce more original content, which I don't understand how anyone could be upset with that. Like, I haven't heard the argument yet from anybody who are all anti-Article 13 about why it's really a bad thing, other than all these alarming messages about it's going to, ruin YouTube. And these people months ago were pissed off at YouTube for changing their monetization rules. But now,
Yeah.
now they're like, no, like we're on your side now. It just doesn't. There's something weird here, and the fact that these big tech companies are trying to have creators fight for them, and we don't really have any say over this anyway. This is like a European thing, and it's a European vote, and they're going to decide what they want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they should.
I don't know.
It's like, also, big tech companies shouldn't be meddling in democracy. Like, that's a big thing, you know. And clearly they are. They're lobbying, and they're lobbying even their video makers, you know, independent video makers to lobby for.
Right.
That's kind of fucked up, man. It's not their business.
I looked for videos that were on the kind of the other side of things, and I wasn't able to find anything. And, and that's interesting too. Like, where's all of the lobbying for these rules? And so, yes, they are good. I mean, because there is that side. It does exist, but I don't see anybody like up in arms about how this should happen. So I figured we might as well make a little presentation about maybe how this isn't such a bad thing. Like, these big companies need restrictions, you know, like they need to be reined in a bit. And, because if they can, I mean, it really is kind of the public square. And if I can't go copy a book out of a library and put my name on it and say it's mine, maybe I change the cover or something. If I can't do that, then why should anybody be able to do the same thing online? I mean, you can't just re-upload Star Wars on your channel and say, hey, look what I made.
Right.
Or
exactly.
Turn it black and white, right? You can't like just take the color away from Star Wars and put it up on your channel and say, hey, look what I made.
Right. You can't do that.
So I'm still waiting for a good argument about why this is really a negative thing, other than for the big tech companies themselves.
Well, I'm totally pro. Yeah, I'm totally pro.
We're pro.
We're pro Article 13. Hi, I'm John Jovi. Bob
Jovi.
Bob Jovi.
Mr. Robert Jovi.
Robert Jovi. And I'm supporting Article 13. Article 13 for your copyright protection.
Yeah, I'm so happy that we hired Bob Jovi to be one of our DJs.
Me too.
He's going to be great.
He's going to be awesome.
He really brings a lot to the table.
Robert Jovi. Bobby Jovi. Now live drive at 5 with Bobby Jovi on 8089.
Yeah. So he should be on the air soon, I think.
Absolutely.
Old Bob Jovi. Yeah.
Oh, that good old Bob Jovi. Hey, Bob Jovi.
His name is so fun to say.
I love it. Bobby Jovi. Bobby Jovi.
Not to be confused with the with the band. He gets offended by that. He gets I'm not.
Yeah.
Don't call me Bon. I'm not Bon Jovi. This Robert.
Is Bobby Jovi, not Bon on 8089.
Oh, maybe he can play some Bon Jovi. This is Bon Hi, this is Bob Jovi, and next coming up is Bon Jovi.
It should be the sound of someone sliding around because slippery when wet, and then, like, you know, some people praying, living on the prayer.
Yeah.
Bon Jovi, and then a cowboy.
Next up, the new song from Bon Jovi, Slippery on a Prayer.
Yeah, on 889, I died for.
Wow.
I was thinking today about, like, so let me talk to you about, a little bit about my thoughts about this list that I want to write as well, because I think it would be good to talk about it a bit, too, before I even present something. So, my thought is that, like, if this is going to happen to troubled teens, I want a video out there telling them that they should always, always fight it until they can. You know, inevitably they're going to reach a point where they drink the Kool-Aid anyway. You know?
Right.
And it's always going to be painful. And I just recommend making it absolutely the most painful, horrific, like, traumatizing experience for the low-level staff. You know, that's my recommendation.
Right. Do not comply. Sure.
At all. From the beginning, like, the second you see a female staff, grab her boobie. You know, the second, like, they tell you to strip naked and start fingering your butthole. I'm not joking either. Make it as absolutely as bad as possible for these people. You know? If they're gonna do this to you, which they are, make it as bad. I want them to go home at night thinking about it, you know? That's really what I want.
Right, make them quit.
Yeah.
Like, make it such a like uncomfortable place to go to work that they just don't come back.
Right.
And yeah, because what that would do is it like pull the veil away from kind of what really goes on there.
Right.
Because it would create public interest for one thing. Like, what's going on with these kids at this place? It's like, what's going on there? Like, why are
and this started in my head after reading that article about those two boys who escaped on a plane. I mean, holy shit.
Those two boys are my heroes.
They're fucking amazing.
Like, it's really incredible what they did. And
I've never personally taken a. Go ahead.
No, I don't. I'm kind of like at a loss for words. It's just amazing what they did.
I personally have never taken a drug that has been as amazing as running away from TPI when I ran. And I did some fucking epic runs. And those moments where you got away and you knew you got away, holy shit.
Right.
You know, I mean, and there's such a rush in that first few minutes when you're making that, you know, first move to get the fuck off campus. And you make it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
You're free. I suggest doing that too. I suggest running all the time.
Definitely.
Force their hand.
What's up?
Force their hand, you know?
Yes.
This isn't a questionable thing. You're going into a place where people are being abused around you. You are inevitably going to be abused. You are inevitably going to fall into this cult, you know, and you're going to drink their Kool-Aid. For the first 3 months, I want you to throw the worst fucking fits you've ever had, you know, and just give it all you got. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking for more than that. I understand you're going to be there a year, maybe 2 years, but just give it all you got. You know?
Well, I keep reading about something both at, gosh, maybe all three, like stress tolerance. Like they're trying to teach this idea of being able to handle like stressful and emotional and traumatic situations. Well, give it right back to them and let them handle stressful situations. Yes.
Yeah.
And really force their hand and make them comply. Like make the staff work so very hard to understand what they're really dealing with. If you want a troubled teen, give it to them.
Give them one.
Give them a troubled teen.
Give them one.
Yeah.
Give them everything you fucking got. Every bit of it.
Right, because all of the literature is like talks about, out of control kids. Well, give them the out of control kid that they're advertising you as. They're saying you do it.
And I suggest this starts with the transport. If your parents are talking about this in your home, start to think about this now, because this is serious. Mm-hmm. It's a possibility that one night you may have two people in your room. And at that point, you have an option. You don't really have an option past that point. It gets a lot harder. You're going to have to fight them inside of their place at that point.
Right.
It may not be successful, and it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt a lot.
Sure.
There's a reason.
Piss and shit all over the van.
Yeah.
Do that. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm advocating that. Yes.
Yeah.
Like make their transportation vehicle like unusable for the next kid.
Exactly. Fucking make it as hard as possible.
Yes. And because it will liberate your sense of worth as a human being, that you don't deserve to be caged. And if that is what if that is indeed what is happening to you, and you're being incarcerated because you're a child who smoked a joint or was bored, that's insane. Like, is your kid bored? Send them to this camp. If you're going to be put under those kinds of conditions for just being a normal kid, which is really kind of, the more I look at this, the more it becomes very clear that these are just normal kids whose parents are tired of being parents and don't want to deal with it anymore, and are willing and able to spend $10,000 a month to get rid of their kid. If that's the case, then these kids, you kids who are listening, should just completely rebel and prove the point.
I mean, if I could tell you about my
first trouble, that's the thing. You're not going to get into any more trouble or put in any worse conditions than you're already in. In fact, it might save you from further abuse, which is the ironic thing.
Before I want to talk to you about my first year in Heritage, which is quite interesting, but what these kids did by stealing this plane, stealing a tractor, then stealing the plane, is they put a huge spotlight on this place. Everybody in the fucking world is looking at this place right now.
Oh yeah. Right. At least for the moment.
And they're wondering, why these kids were so unsafe in this place that they were able to fucking get into an airplane and fly.
And then land it.
Yeah.
Which is like that's the best thing. Like,
yeah, right?
I wonder if the cops, when they met the plane, were just like as kind of stoked on the fact that these kids pulled this off as we are in some ways. there had to be some police officer who was just like, "Whoa, these kids are fucking awesome."
Yeah, right. So, my first year at Heritage, I had just come from an incredibly locked down unit sort of type of program where I was on a very small, unit for a year and a half, locked in. So, AWOLing from there was possible, but it wasn't, very successful for me. Mm-hmm. And I had come to this program, Heritage, and all of a sudden the doors are not locked, and we're kind of outside a lot. And there's no fencing around the outside of the area. Well, there is now, but there wasn't at the time. So, freedom was just like a view away every day.
Wow.
And a lot of the times when walking with staff from one area of campus to another, you turn corners. And staff is usually one in the front, one in the back. But if you fall back to the level, and this is another tip for teams who want the AWOL, mm-hmm. If you fall back to the level that the staff in the back is walking, you can step sideways when they take that corner step and not go with them and fall behind the pack. And generally, they won't notice that there's one kid missing, particularly if they're watching 16 kids.
Right.
And that's when you run. I mean, there are many ways to do it. You just have to be clever about it.
Yeah, I think it'd be an interesting idea to do a full show about these kinds of techniques and get more into tactical ideas that kids can use while they're incarcerated to avoid some of the stuff to make it
I do want to make clear that you said something earlier that was kind of false. It is going to get worse for you when you do this in the program. You are already in a really horrible place, but it is going to get a little worse for you. And it is going to be harder for you to do it again once you've done it because they're going to be watching. That doesn't make it impossible. Believe me.
I meant more longer. I guess I meant more medium or longer term. I do realize that there are consequences to acting out and to fighting back, for sure. But I think that in order to kind of preserve your sense of humanity, rather than submit and face maybe lower level, longer term abuse, maybe it's better to get it all over with as quickly as possible. And the important thing is that it's not just one person doing this. It's not just like the isolated incident, because those are easily handled. You just put the kid in a room. But if it's a bunch of people all fighting back, you're going to limit their resources. You're going to limit their ability to handle it.
You have to inspire, though, and you have to do that without being able to communicate that this is what needs to be done, because that's dangerous to start talking like that in program.
Sure.
That doesn't, that will put you in a place where you really can't fight. And I mean, a lot of what went on in isolation probably, of course, just stayed there. It was probably the ones where all of us saw something on campus that really shocked us all and made us think. Or someone would say, man, that guy's an asshole. That staff member's an asshole. After we saw something happen. Or, this is really tricky, this part. This part is tricky, but it can be done. Because before I came to Heritage, there was a riot. So I know it's been done. You know?
Right, at the school in Samoa, for instance. There was a riot there.
Yep.
That shut it down.
Yeah.
And
well, actually, I think that happened. That happened after they raided it, actually, because they then just left the kids there because they really didn't know what to do with them.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like a bunch of kids going.
It's amazing how many places there are like this too, that are still in operation, that are getting away with all kinds of ridiculous stuff. And our governments are failing us again, of course, giving these places a pass or citing them for not being licensed, and then giving them the ability to stay in operation, or like the case that you showed me earlier today about the guy back in the early 2000s who molested some kid and was showing like porn and just like behaving horribly, not getting fired, but being allowed to stay there, and then this place operated for years after that.
Yep. I mean, guys like that need to get punched in the dick by every single student in there. You know, they need to have their genitalia like absolutely mutilated. You know, and they need to because I don't know how to stop this any other way, and I don't know how to prevent the inevitable when a kid goes into this place, because that's the inevitable. You're going to walk out of here with PTSD. You're going to walk out of here with lifelong PTSD if you walk out of there, you know?
Right. And then this is something else I'm learning. There's another, when people get out, there are actually program-oriented trauma therapists who continue the cycle by promoting trauma therapy to graduates and kids who have left program. And it's all a big justification about how no, you're still under some kind of trauma from your past, when it's really about these people getting out and having PTSD and having anxiety and other issues because of program. So they have these outside counselors who pick these kids back up, or these adults at that point back up, and continue to milk them for money and clientele. And that's something I didn't really realize was going on too, that it doesn't end. Like once you're out, because of all the abuse that people have suffered, then they really need therapy. And so, and then again, instead of getting reasonable care, they get hit with these advertisements and proposals for therapists who are really still a part of the system. It's very dangerous.
Well, I mean, all of it is, because it leads to it. I mean, even the good therapists that I had when I finally got out and finally got to therapy, even they are benefiting from, and the system is benefiting from these places, right? I mean, it just all sort of it's all one big thing. I mean, of course I needed that because of everything that happened to me, but if everything hadn't happened to me, then I wouldn't have needed that.
Right. Right. So
it's just
so well, I mean, that is kind of what we're doing here, is letting people know what's really going on. So, for whatever it's worth, if there are people out there who are hearing from us about these programs based on what these programs are telling people, and we analyze it and dissect it and look at the staff and make people realize that they're both unqualified and are lying and are misrepresenting what they're really doing there. If we can get people to stop sending their kids there to any degree, then we take away a little bit of their power. And that's all we can do from outside. So, but it's definitely worth it, because, I haven't seen other people doing this kind of like long form, in-depth analysis of these places based on their own information.
Right.
So,
it's fucking amazing. And the other thing is I'm not going to stop talking about it because it's relevant to me and it's still in my life because I have PTSD. Right. I live with this every day. I'm still there half the day. It's not my fault. I grew up in it.
Yeah. And of course this is going to stick with you and everybody else because, you go into these places as kids as your brain is developing, and these become those moments that like stick with you because you're growing and learning in those environments. Yeah. It's not something that you can therapize away. You can't.
No.
This isn't. You're not Jim Carrey, and you're not trying to forget Kate Winslet.
Right.
Who would want to forget Kate Winslet anyway? I think of her often.
I think of her often too. I mean, holy cow.
So yeah. So coming up, what I'm going to be doing, I finished recording most of the heritage stuff, and I need to edit it into a reasonable length, and then I'll put that up, and then you can provide feedback, and we can do another episode about what we've learned about this and further investigate who they say they are, and then determine who they really are based on. Again, it's kind of incredible, based on their own information, which is super contradictory, and they're saying they're doing way too much, and they obviously really can do because they don't have the personnel to be able to accomplish all these like crazy ideas that they're presenting to people, and it's the best thing that we can do is to keep putting this information out and letting people know the truth. Yep. It's a trap.
All right. Well,
it's a trap. Ties all back into the.
You son of a bitch.
If Admiral Ackbar was running, I mean, that's really kind of what I was concerned about, because if Admiral Ackbar was running a trout center for troubled fish, he would be a lot more caring, I'm sure.
Is at your command, Ackbar. Reporting for duty. I am ready for your orders. It's a trap. My people are producing ships at peak efficiency. I would be more useful to you in battle. I am ready to command a fleet. If you will let me. Enemy ships incoming. We are under attack.
Your concern for Admiral Ackbar is concerning.
Multiple hull breaches. Immediate assistance
But anyway,
Concerned.
well,
And they killed him. Admiral Ackbar really cared about
he's a dead
rebellion.
fish, though, man. He's a fucking dead
He's a
fish,
dead
you know.
fish. He's just a dead fish now. All right, and then we'll continue to explain everything as well. But that's for some other time again. All right.
Yeah.
The sun. Don't stare into the sun, damn it.
D.B. Cooper and the Mile High Club.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. This gives me something to do now. Episode 31.